Hello and welcome. I'm Raghav and welcome to this part of Gatling for Beginners. In this part, we are going to learn about API testing with Gatling. Now, we have already started with API testing in the last part. We have seen how we can create and run a Get API with Gatling. So, in this part, we are going to see how we can create and run API requests for post APIs, put and delete APIs, and this is going to be very easy and very interesting. I will show you all the methods and how exactly we create the request and run the request. I will also show you how we can get the body from file. So in case of post and put APIs, we need the request body. Now I will show you how you can give the request body within your code as a string, and then we will also learn how we can get the body from a file, and then finally we will add our checks and assertions, and then we will run and check the report. So this is going to be very easy and very interesting. You can follow this on Windows or Mac operating system. You will find all the notes in the description of this video, and there will also be a link for Gatling quiz, so you can take the Gatling quiz as well. So let's get started and let us see the steps. Step number one is we will first add a new class in our project. So let us go to the project, and here I have my IntelliJ, and this is the project that we have been working on. And if I go to the src folder, and if I go to Scala, and here I have my com.test com.gatling.test package, and here we have all our earlier scripts. So I can create a new class here. I can do a right click and create a new class, or I can also create a new package first and then put all my API test in the new package. So I can just create a new package here. I will call this as API. I'm doing this so that I can keep my API tests separately. If you want, you can create the class in the same package. So I will just do a right click on the package API and go to new and select Scala class, and I will name this as post put delete API demo. You can name it anything, and that's it. So the class is created. I'm getting this error here on the package name. Let me see what exactly does it need. Set package name to test.scala. So let me just do this. So this is fine. So that is okay. So we have created a new class here, and now I can after creating new class, step number two is we have to extend from the simulation class. So this is something we have to do for all Gatling scripts. So I will say extends from simulation, and I am also getting this auto suggestion. You can press Control Spacebar if you do not get this auto suggestion. So this is extended from simulation, and we have also got this import. Now the next thing is I will add the required imports, and from the earlier part we know that we need two imports for all the basic Gatling scripts, that is io.gatling.core, and I will say dot predef dot underscore, so it will import everything from this core, and then I will also import io.gatling.http. Again I will say dot predef dot underscore, and now because I'm already importing everything from the core package, I do not need this import, so I will just remove this and save, and that's it. So the class is ready and I can write my script here, and we have already done step number three, that is we have imported the required Gatling libraries, and now we need to create three sections. So for any Gatling script we have these three basic sections: protocol, scenario, and setup. So these are the three sections I will need. So this is protocol, then scenario, and then setup. So in the protocol section, I will add the common HTTP protocol that will be applicable to all the requests. Then I can create scenarios in the scenario section where we will create our actual API request. And in the setup section, we will set the load for different scenarios and different load strategies. So let us start with protocol, and for that I will give any name. So I will say well, and I can give it a name, let us say HTTP protocol. You can give any meaningful name here, and I will say HTTP dot, and now I can give all the HTTP protocol. So let us say I want to give a base URL first, so I will say dot base URL, and here in this session we are going to see some demo APIs. So let me say I will go to reqres.in. So this website has some demo APIs that we can use for our testing. If you have your own APIs, you can use those APIs. And here, let me bring this up. Yes, so here you can see we have got some fake APIs that we can use for testing. And here we have already seen some get APIs in the last session. So let me just go with the post API, which is for create. So I will click here, and you can see here, this is the endpoint, this is the request body, and in the response we should get 201, which is for successful creation, and then this is the response body. And if I click this link and go to a new tab, this is the complete URL. So this part I can take as a base URL, which will be common to all the API requests of this web service. So I'll just say base URL is this. So this is our base URL, and for easy readability I can put this in a new line, and then I can add other HTTP protocols. Like if you have to add any headers, you can say dot headers, and we can add all the headers. We also have authorization headers, so if your request needs any authorization, you can add that. But in this case we do not need anything else, so I'll just keep the base URL in the protocol. Then let us come to the scenario. So here first I will give some scenario name. I will say scn1 and equals to, I will say scenario, and give the scenario name. So this is for, let us say, post API, and this is for creating a user. So let me name this as create user, and then I will say, I'll go to a new line and say .exec, and then I will again go to a new line, and I will now say here HTTP, and here I will give the request name. So this is going to be a create user request. So I'll just say create user request, and then I will say I will give the method. So here this should be post. So I will say I can go to a new line and say dot post, and it should also give you auto suggestion here. And here I have to give the endpoint. So I have already given the base URL here. Whatever endpoint I give here will be appended to the base URL. So in this case I just need to append /users. So this will create our complete URL. So that's it. So the complete URL will be the base URL and this endpoint. So if you want, you can give the complete URL here, but in this case, because we will be using multiple requests and our base URL is common for all the requests, so it is a good practice to keep the base URL in the protocol section. And that's it. I have given the post. Now, very important thing in case of post APIs is we have to give the request body. And here is the request body that we need to provide to our request. And for that, I will say, now before adding the body, I can also add the headers. So I can say header, and I can give headers like a very common header will be the content type. So we have to tell the server what is the type of the content we are sending. So I can say application JSON here. This is going to be a JSON content, or the other way to do this is I can directly say dot as JSON. So this is also the same way. So these two things, adding a header for content type or saying as JSON, this will be same here. And after doing this, so you can use any of these, and then I can say dot body. So here I will give the request body, and you can see here we are getting this suggestion. So I will select this body, and then here I can say I can either give the body as string. So I will say string here, and I have got this option string body, and in the bracket, because this is going to be a JSON and I have to give this as it is here. So what I can do is I can give 3 quotes here, 1, 2, 3, and you can see it has already taken the end quotes. And then here I can give the body. I can also move to the next line. So I am my cursor is in between these codes, and if I click enter, you can see it moves to the next line, and it has taken all this formatting itself. So it has given a pipe symbol for continuing the string, and then dot strip margin, all this it has taken itself. And now I can just copy the request body, which is a JSON request, and paste it here as it is. So you can see it has come as it is here, and this is how it can take this as a string body. And if I want, I can also say dot as JSON here, although I do not need this because I have already given as JSON here, and I have also given the header content type as JSON. So out of these three, adding the header for content type, or saying as JSON here, or saying as JSON here, you can use any one of these three. For now I'm just keeping all this so that I can show you. And then after this, I can add some checks. So I can say here dot check. I will show you how we can get the body from the file in a moment, but for now let me just add the checks. So I can say check status. I want to check the status, so I will say status dot is, and I can give the status as 200. I can also say something like status is 200. Now in case of successful post or successful creation of a resource on the server, the status code that we should be getting is 201. So I will check 201, and then I can also check. So if you see in the response, we are getting this, and I can check this as well using JSON path. We have learned this in the earlier part as well. I will say again check and say JSON path. I have got this auto suggestion, and first I will give the JSON path here, and then I will say is, and I will give whatever value I am expecting. So first let me find the JSON path. This is the response. I can go to jsonpathfinder.com, and here I will copy my JSON, and then here I have got this. So this is what I want to check, name. So I will click here and I get the JSON path here. I'll just copy this and paste it here, and this X should be replaced with dollar. This is the root, and here I want to check whatever I am giving here. Let us say I'm sending John here, and the same thing should be checked here. And if you want, you can also keep all the checks in a single check section. We have also learned this in the last episode. So I will say check and a bracket start and a bracket stop. In between this, I will add all this. Status is 201, and then comma, and then JSON path. Let me just copy this. JSON path is this, and now if I want, I can remove these two lines. So that's it. We have created a post request, and now coming to the setup, I will show you in a moment how we can get this body from a file, but let us first complete the setup part. So here in the setup, I will call the setup method. So I will say setup, and then I will say, I will give the scenario name. So I have given the scenario name as scn1 dot inject, and here I will give the load strategy. I want at once, so I can say at once users and give the user count here. Or if I want to ramp up, I can say here ramp up users, and let us say I want to ramp up to 5 users, and then I will say dot during, and I will give during how many seconds. So I will say during let's just say 5 seconds, and then finally I will say here dot protocol. I have to attach the protocols, and the protocol name I have given is HTTP protocol. So that's it. So you can see this is done, and let me show you the complete class. So this is how it looks like here. So this is our setup, this is our scenario, and this is our HTTP protocol here. So this is our protocol section, Then we have our scenario section here. This is our scenario section, and then we have our setup here. So that's it. Now I can first try to run this and check if everything is fine, and then I will add more requests and create a file for body. So I'll go to the engine class and run the engine, and let's just see. So it has started the engine, and now we have to give the name, the number of our simulation, which is this one at number 4. So I will say 4 here, and I will name this as demo 1 and hit enter, and let us see what happens. So it is running, and yes, it is done. And you can also see all these global information, everything is here. So we are getting all these details here. Create user request is here, and now we can copy the URL of the report and go to the browser. This is the address of the report, and open the report on the browser. And yes, looks like everything is fine. You can see here we have got all these 5 requests, and these are the active users, and everything is fine. And if I go to the details, so we have our create user request. This is all running fine. Let us just check what happens if let us say I say here I'm passing the name as John, but if I say something else, if I check here, I want to check the name as Morpheus, what will happen? And I will save this and run the engine again, and let's just see if it is able to check in the report. And I will again say this is simulation number 4. I will say this is demo 2 and run it. So here, yeah, it is running fine. Let us check the report here. I will copy and open the report, and yes, you can see it has failed. And if you check the reason for failure, here it says JSON path $name find Morpheus, but actual is John. So this is working fine. So we are able to add our checks as well. So this is all fine. Let me change this back to John. All right, now we have done this step, and here we have already added our headers and body. As of now, we have added the body within the code as string. Now we will learn how we can get the body from a file. So for that, you can just create a JSON file and put that file under your resources. So here, let me create under my resources. I will create a new folder first. I will call this as data. If you want, you can directly put the file here, but I just want to keep it separately. And under data, I will create a new file. I will call this as user.json. So it should be a JSON file, as we are having a JSON request and JSON body. And here I will just copy the JSON request body, and that's it. And then I will go to my code here, and here I will say dot body, and instead of string body I will say raw file body, and you can see we are getting this auto suggestion as well. Now make sure this is a capital R. If you give a lowercase r here, it may give you a auto suggestion for raw file bodies, which is we do not need this. So just make sure that you are using the right functions here. I will say raw file body, and then here I can give the location of the file. So you can give a complete file path, but because I have already kept my file in a folder within the resources folder, I can start from data or the folder name which is under the resources folder. So I will say data here / user.json, and again if you want you can say as JSON here, but we are already using all this, so we do not need that, but let me just keep it here. And now this part I can delete or comment out. I'll just select everything and press Control and forward slash on my keyboard, and it will comment out all this. I'm keeping this here within the code so that you can refer it later, or even I may have to refer it later. But now you can see the body is being taken from the file. And now let us see. So see, here we are checking John, and in the file we have Morpheus, so we have to change this. Or let me give my name here Raghav, and here as well I will check Raghav. Or for now, let me just keep it something different so that it fails and I will know that it is able to refer the request from the file. And I will now run this, save and run. So I'm running the engine, and here I will again say run simulation 4, and this is, let us say, demo 3, and run. And let us just check the report. So this is our report. I will copy the address, go to my browser, and this is HTML, and here sorry, this is not a, let me copy the address again. I think I copied it incompletely. Yeah, this is the complete address, and here, yes, so you can see we have got the report, it has failed. And if I check the error, so here you can see this is failed because the actual name is Raghav, which is fine, that is what we needed. And I can now go back and change, so that means it is able to refer from the file where we have given the value as Raghav for name. So this is able to refer it from here. I will just go back here and change it to this and save, and let us run and check again. So this time everything should be fine. So I'm running the engine class, and I will select simulation 4, and I will say this is demo 5. Now the name I'm giving here is reflected in the report. I will show you this in a moment. So once we get the report, I will show you this. So this is running fine, and yes, we have got the report. I'll copy the address and open the report. So you can see demo 5, this is what the name we gave, and now everything is fine. So all is running fine, and we are getting all the correct responses, and everything is pass. So we are able to run our post request with the JSON payload, or the request payload. So this is called a payload. The body that we provide within the request is called a payload, and here we are able to refer it from a file as well as within the code as a string body as well. So we have done this. We have completed a post request for create user. Let us see a put request which is for updating a resource. So this is a put request for updating a user, and here it is. Let us create this as well. So here now I can first add a pause here. So after this particular request, I will add a pause of, let us say, 1 second. So this will be close to a realistic performance test. And then if I want, I can start creating a new request the same way, starting with the .exec block. So I can just say .exec, and then I will say HTTP, and I will give the request name. So let me just scroll this up. So I will say HTTP, and I will say this is update user, and I can give the rest of the things. Or if I want, I can create a new scenario or put this in a new scenario, so that if I want to run the different scenarios with different performance setup, I can do that later. So let me try to do this. So if I do this way, like I am adding new request in the same scenario, I will be running with the same performance metrics here. So it will be using 5 users during 5 seconds. But if I want to have different performance setup for different scenarios or for different requests, I can put them in a new scenario. So I will say val and scn2 equals scenario, and give the scenario name as update user, and then I can just keep on adding the exec block and my request. And also for easy understanding, let me name the scenarios with some meaningful names. So I will say this is create user scenario, and then I will name the other scenario as update user scenario, and the same thing I will add here. Now in a moment I will show you how you can give different scenarios with different user load. Let me first complete this scenario. So here I'm saying here update user scenario, this is the scenario, then .exec, and here this is the request name, and then I will say dot put and give the endpoint. And if I see for this put request or update user request, I have the endpoint /users/2. So I will say here /users/2, and the rest of the part is in the base URL. So that's it. And then again, if I want to add headers, I can do that. So I can say here dot headers, I can add authorization headers, I can add any content type, etc., or I can just say dot as JSON, or let me first give the body. So I will say dot body, and again I can take the body from the same file, because if you see the request body here is similar, I can take it directly from the same file. So I can say raw file body, and here I will say data, file path is data user dot JSON, and I will say here as dot as JSON, and then I can say after this I will say dot check, and I will add the check block where I will say check status is 200, and if I want I can also check the JSON path. So I can say JSON path, I have to give a comma here, and then I will say JSON path here and give the JSON path here and say is whatever value you want to check. So in this case again I can say check the same name here, so it will be similar to what I have given in the earlier request, because I am taking it again from the same file. So this is what I can check here, and that's it. After this I can add a pause of 1 second. Now coming to the setup part, because now we have a different scenario, I can say here comma and go to the next line, and I will say update user scenario, and I will say that here I want to ramp up to let us say 5 users during 3 seconds, and for the earlier one let me say I want 10 users in 5 seconds. So you can see now we are running these two requests with a different user load, and there are so many other strategies. We will learn about all these performance and load strategies in the coming parts. So here you can see we have done the setup like this. Let us now run and check. I will save and run the engine, and here this is running. So I will select the simulation number 4, and let us say this is demo 7, and run, and this is running fine, no errors until here, and yes, this is done. And now if I go and check the report, so I will open the report, and here you will now see here, if I go, everything is fine, everything is running fine. So you can see here two scenarios. So we have update user and then create user request here, and if I see the users, you can now see here, so we have different users doing different things. So a total of 10 users are here, 5 users are doing update, 5 users are running update request, and 5 users are running create request. If I see here, 5 users are running the create request, 3 users are running the update request, and total 8 active users. And here we can see all this distribution of users. So this is how we can do all these distributions by adding different scenarios. So this is done. Let us now also complete our delete API. So let me check this API. This is delete, and yes, here this is the endpoint, and in the response we should just check the status is 204. So let me again do this. Now this is a dummy API. When we create something, it is not actually creating something on the server. When we delete, it is not actually deleting. Just in case you want to try with some real APIs, and if you do not have your own APIs, you can just search for my video, create fake API for testing. And if you do that, you will see this is my video, create fake API for testing. And here I have shown how you can create a local server, and then how you can actually run your APIs, and then you will be able to see the requests going there, and you can see the APIs getting created or the resources getting created on the server. So you can check all this. And here I will just use the delete API from here. So let me just go here. I will create a new scenario. So here I will say, well, delete user scenario equals scenario, and I will call this as delete user, and I will say .exec and http, give the request name delete user request. Here also I can say update user request to keep it consistent. And now here I will say dot delete, and I have to give the endpoint. So here this is the endpoint, /users /2. So I will say /users /2, and that's it. You can add headers if you have any headers, but in this case I do not need to add anything else. I can just check that status is 204. That's it. And if I want, I can add a pause of, let us say, 1 second, and then go to the setup part, and here I will give a comma and say delete user scenario dot inject, and I'm using the ramp up strategy, so ramp users, and here I will say 3 users during 2 seconds. So this is done, and everything is, all these scenarios are using the same protocol, and that is why I have given the protocol after all these scenarios. But if you want, you can also give protocols separately for the scenarios. So you can also just say dot protocols here, but because all these are sharing the same protocol, I have given this at the end here. And save and run and check. So I will run the engine class, and here I will say simulation 4, and I will say this is, let us say, demo 8, and run. And yes, this is done, and I can go to the report now, copy the address, go to the browser, and open the report. And yes, we have got the report, and you can see if I go to the details, we have got all these 3 requests: create user request, update user request, delete user request, and if I go to global, we have got all these three requests here. And if I see the users, you can see the different users. So here at this particular point, we can see there are 13 active users. 3 users are running delete API, 5 users are running update API, and 5 users are running the create API. So all this distribution you can see here. And this is how we can run our different APIs. So we have already done this. We have referred the body from the file and we have checked that. We have added all the checks as needed and we have ran our APIs and checked the report. So I hope this was very useful. You can do some hands-on and let me know if you face any issues. You can also take the Gatling quiz. I will see you in the next part. Thank you for watching and never stop learning.